My partner treated me like a backup plan, so I gave them a reality check. I'm 42 years old, and I've spent most of my adult life teaching literature. I've always believed that people rarely fall into simple categories of right or wrong. Human behavior, at least in my world, lives in the gray areas. That belief helped me stay patient with people. It helped me be a better professor and, honestly, a better partner too. But with my spouse, Nara, that gray area slowly stopped being something philosophical and began feeling like a fog I couldn't see through anymore. Our apartment used to be a place I loved returning to. Warm lights, bookshelves filled with both our tastes, quiet mornings where the sound of the kettle was the only thing happening. There was a rhythm between us, a kind of subtle harmony I thought was solid. But lately, she moved through the space like a visitor, someone passing through, someone who didn't want to unpack her emotional suitcase. She'd drift from room to room with this faraway look, distracted but alert, like she was waiting for something, but didn't want me to ask what. The air in the apartment felt different, somehow thinner, as if a door to another life had been left slightly open, and I could feel the draft coming through. Our conversations turned shallow. When I asked how her day was, her answers felt rehearsed. Not cold exactly, but controlled. Like she was managing me, guiding me away from something. Her sweetness felt like it had an edge. Her silences stretched just a second too long. And I started to feel like I was walking around corners she had already turned, trying to catch up to a version of her that kept slipping away. I ignored the first signs. People change, life gets busy, stress happens. But deep down, I knew something fundamental was shifting, and it wasn't shifting with me. The real trouble began in these little moments that she pretended were harmless. Moments that felt like nothing by themselves, but carried a strange charge. One evening, I was sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by stacks of essays from my students. The room was quiet, except for the sound of my pen and the distant hum of traffic outside. Mara leaned against the counter, scrolling on her phone. Her expression was soft, but there was something sly underneath it. Out of nowhere, she said, "You know, Elias from the office told me I look too young to be married." I looked up, feeling the shift in her tone before the words even landed. "And what did you say?" She shrugged, that tiny smile tugging at her mouth. I laughed, didn't want to ruin his fun. It wasn't the comment itself, it was the way she delivered it. Like she wanted me to react, like she was planting a seed just to see what would grow. A few days later, while we were getting ready to run errands, she stood in front of the hallway mirror, adjusting her hair. Her phone lit up on the console table, and she glanced at it before speaking. "Last night, the bartender remembered my drink. Said people with good energy stand out." I held out her coat. Was he flirting? She glanced at me through the mirror. "Maybe. Does that bother you?" The question wasn't genuine. It was bait. Her eyes didn't show curiosity. They showed calculation. Like she was studying me the way I study my students' essays, looking for subtext. Over the following days, these kinds of comments grew more frequent. A coworker complimented her dress. A stranger smiled at her in the lobby. An old friend reached out, and she made sure to tell me how charming he still was. Always delivered with that same tone, light, playful, but underneath, a test. It wasn't affection she was chasing. It was attention, and she wanted me to feel it. The message was subtle but clear. I wasn't enough, or at least, she wanted me to fear that I wasn't. Then her behavior shifted into something sharper, more deliberate, more secretive. Her phone became glued to her hand. She carried it everywhere. Even when she moved from the couch to the kitchen, she kept it with her, like someone might steal it the moment she looked away. If I walked into the room, the screen would flip face down with a soft tap. a tiny sound that started to feel louder every day. One evening, we were on the couch. The lights were low, the TV was on, but neither of us were really watching. I reached over for the blanket draped beside her. As my hand brushed the cushion, she jerked upright and clutched her phone to her chest. "You startled me," I blinked at her. "I picked up a blanket, that's all." She exhaled sharply, as if I'd done something wrong. "Don't make this a thing." Another night during dinner, her phone buzzed twice in quick succession. She didn't check it. Instead, she turned it upside down with slow, careful precision, like the message itself was dangerous. "Someone important?" I asked. She stabbed another bite of vegetables and said, "Please don't start acting insecure." I didn't feel insecure. I felt observant. I noticed the way she angled the phone away from me, the way she kept the brightness turned all the way down, the way she suddenly needed late work nights and team outings she'd never mentioned before. The apartment started to feel like a stage she was rehearsing on, and I was just the audience she didn't think was paying attention. The breaking point came on a rainy Thursday evening. The sky was dark early, and the apartment felt closed in, wrapped in the sound of rain tapping against the windows. Mara went to shower, leaving her laptop open on the couch. Something she never did. I wasn't looking for anything. I didn't touch the computer. But a message preview slid across the corner of the screen, like it had been waiting for me. "You free tonight? He won't notice." My chest tightened, but not with shock, with clarity. A cold, steady clarity that settled into my bones. I heard the shower running in the bathroom. I heard the rain outside. And I understood, in one sharp moment, that she didn't respect me enough to hide it.
I didn't confront her. I've seen enough people like Mara to know exactly how that would go. She'd twist the story, she'd cry maybe, make me feel like the villain, make herself the victim. People like her don't fear confrontation, they shape it. So I took a different approach. I observed. Whenever a notification appeared on her phone before she could hide it, I noted the time. Whenever she left her laptop open again, forgetting the message previews were synced, I paid attention to what popped up. Not opening anything, not digging, just watching what she exposed on her own. And I remembered something important. We had a shared calendar. One she forgot was linked across our devices. Every late work night, every team outing, every vague excuse, all lined up perfectly with the message previews I kept seeing. I gathered everything slowly, methodically. I organized it. Patterns, dates, times, just the things she had already made visible. Then I wrote her a letter, calm, direct, without blame or emotion. I placed it on the dining table with the evidence she had created herself. At the end of the letter, I wrote one line. I deserve to live with someone who values truth more than theatrics. She found the folder that evening. I watched her face as she read, confusion at first, then a flicker of fear, then anger, sharp and defensive. "You twisted this. You're reading everything wrong. These messages are out of context." Her voice rose, but her story didn't make sense. Each sentence contradicted the last. She couldn't settle on one explanation. She kept shifting, scrambling for a version that made her look innocent. I stayed quiet, calm. Then her phone buzzed in her hand. We both looked at it. Same contact, same tone. "Still on for tonight? Or is the professor suspicious?" Her face drained of color. She froze, staring at the screen like it had betrayed her, which it had. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. But her words tripped over themselves. She wasn't in control of the narrative anymore. The story rewrote itself in front of her eyes, and she had no way out. I packed a bag slowly, quietly, while she sat at the table trying to build a lie from pieces that no longer fit together. And I walked out. My new apartment is smaller, but it feels bigger somehow. The air is lighter. The silence is peaceful instead of tense. I wake up without wondering what kind of performance I'm walking into. Sometimes I think about the look on her face when her own message exposed her. That moment when the truth slipped out of her control. The shock. The helplessness. The realization that she had written the ending herself. People like Mara think they're always directing the story. But sometimes the story turns around and tells the truth for them. Leaving her wasn't dramatic, it wasn't revenge, it wasn't anger, it was clarity, and it was relief. If you liked this story, feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next one.